Right now on Denver 7 News at 7 o'clock on Local 3, confusion and frustration over Xcel's new pricing system. Customers will have to pay more during the busiest time for many families.
That's when we're home watching TV, the kids are on, the laptops or computers doing their homeworks, and, a lot of energy is used at that time of night, cooking, dishwashers, stoves.
A lot to think about. We're going to the energy company with your questions on how you can opt out.
A major Colorado company is pulling business out of Russia in response to the invasion of Ukraine. We're also getting new footage of the damage as Russia claims it's backing off in some cities.
Meanwhile, Coloradans are showing their support for the people of Ukraine.
I thought, what can I do? I can't do anything, but I have all these wonderful fabric scraps that can generate money if they're put together artistically.
It was like everybody else just really wanted to help, and I knew it would take a little bit of a leap out of my comfort zone to do it, since I didn't know what I was getting into.
One, a veterinarian, another group of quilters helping any way that they can. So we'll have their stories coming up. Thanks for joining us. I'm Brian Sanders.
And I'm Nicole Brady. We still have some wet roads out there, Lisa, from last night and yesterday's rain, but it was certainly nice to see that rain.
I know. I love a little rain, right? Yeah, it's typically either we get sunshine or snow here in Colorado, but it's nice to get the rain sometimes too here this time of year. You can see here from this view, a lot of sun right now beaming down on Denver. It'll pop up over the clouds and we'll see a break from that sun glare, but for right now, it's a really bright eastbound drive. 23 in Denver right now. It feels like 16. It's pretty chilly out there. You're going to find some frosty conditions as you step out the door. I know my grass was a little crispy this morning. Upper 20s to low 30s early on, just below freezing. Teens to low 20s in the mountains this morning. Compared to, the same time yesterday, it's about 20 to 25 degrees colder from Denver to Fort Collins and Greeley. So a definite cool down with that cold front rolling through. Snow still falling in the northern, it looks like, central and southern mountains, and down and through the Sangre de Cristos we'll pick up another couple of inches of snow. Here in town, it's going to be, a little bit gustier this afternoon. Those winds will pick up a little closer to I-25, Jason, and we'll take a closer look at that coming up.
We have still a pretty bad crash up to the north side of town. It's on the southbound side of I-25, right before you get to 104th Avenue. So after Community Center Bridge, take a look from the CDOT camera up there, and there's a couple scenes here. So this is blocking up the express lane in the left lane. So that's the major part of the crash. And then you have this other car down here blocking up the right lane. So everybody's going from 4 lanes down to 2, and then you have to get around this other issue right here before you get to 104th. Using 104th or Thornton Parkway or the 84th Avenue entry to I-25 can help you save some time. Even the northbound side seeing a little bit of slowing. So we're already looking at 45 minutes. That's the biggest traffic jam, unfortunately, for the city. The rest of the drive doesn't look too bad. One crash out to the east side on Mississippi on that westbound side between Chambers and Sable.
Some breaking news right now in Longmont, where a school is canceled. Longmont Estates Elementary School has canceled classes because of a strong police presence in that area. Longmont police say a person is barricaded inside a home. They've been there since last night, and that person is still in there. That barricade situation is right off of Mountain View and Harvard on the northwest side of Longmont. Officials say avoid the area if you can. Also breaking this morning, there is still a large police presence in Aurora after a deadly shooting. Police say a woman was killed near Mexico Avenue and South Dayton Street. And right now, police are still looking for the suspect. This is the second deadly shooting in Aurora in the past 24 hours. Yesterday, a woman was killed and another woman was injured in a shooting at an apartment complex near the Aurora Hills Golf Course. Police still haven't arrested anyone in that case. Xcel Energy is changing how it charges, and that means you could be paying more depending on the time of day you use electricity.
Yeah, some people have already made the switch to this new pricing structure. Others are confused by it. So we want to bring in Denver 7's Veronica Acosta this morning. Veronica, what's the biggest sticking point here?
So customers will actually be shelling out nearly 3 times what they're already paying during these peak hours. Those peak hours being between 3 in the afternoon and 7 in the evening. So it's that window of time when a lot of kids are getting home from school, parents are getting home from work, starting dinner, or even watching TV. So Xcel calling this their time of use program. You can opt out of it if you're curious. We reached out to Xcel and asked what rates are if you go ahead and choose that option, going with the opting out of the program. Officials said you pay 12 cents per kilowatt hour in the winter and then 14 cents in the summer. If you opt into the program, you pay 10 cents per kilowatt during off-peak hours in the summer, and then that goes up to 28 cents during peak hours in the summer. As you can imagine, it's a little bit less during the winter. We spoke with one grandmother who says she's confused and worried about that price hike.
Because that's when we're home watching TV, the kids are on, the laptops or computers doing their homeworks, and, a lot of energy is used at that time of night, cooking, dishwashers, stoves. With inflation and everything that's going on in the world, that, things are going to go up a little, and things are going to get, a little harder and rougher for everybody.
And if you're curious, this program only applies to residential customers, not commercial. If you want to go ahead and opt out of the program, we have a link over on our website, thedenverchannel.com, that explains how you can go ahead and do that. In Denver, I'm Veronica Acosta, Denver 7.
Yeah, a lot to consider here. Thank you, Veronica. How can you save money with this time of use pricing, with everything else going up that we're buying these days? Xcel says to be flexible with your schedule and try to avoid the big energy users during the peak times. Things like the dishwasher, the washing machine, dryer, the AC, those things try to do overnight or on the weekends, which we know is easier said than done. Also, you won't save a lot by not using your TV or computer during the peak hours. Those are not big energy users.
Well, after in-person talks between Russia and Ukraine, Russia claimed it would drastically reduce combat operations around the cities of Kyiv and Chernihiv.
However, overnight there were more explosions in the suburbs around the capital city of Kyiv. The Pentagon confirmed some Russian troops were pulling away from Kyiv, but officials suspect the troops are just repositioning somewhere else. Here's ABC's Em Nguyen.
President Biden says no matter what Russia promises during negotiations, Washington and its allies will continue to impose sanctions against Russia and provide aid to Ukraine.
Russia now saying it will drastically reduce combat operations around Kyiv and Chernihiv. But overnight, more explosions in the suburbs outside the capital. President Zelensky warning Ukrainians to stay alert. You can only trust concrete results, he says. In Washington, President Biden also expressing skepticism over Russia's promise.
We'll see if they follow through on what they're suggesting.
The Pentagon confirming some Russian troops are pulling away from Kyiv.
Our assessment is that their intention is to reposition forces and bolster their efforts elsewhere.
In war-torn Mariupol, new images from private satellite company Maxar show the devastating aftermath following weeks of Russian shelling.
There is no gas, no electricity, no heating.
Amid negotiations, Ukraine is calling for legally binding security guarantees. They're also offering to become a non-nuclear neutral state once Russian troops leave territories from before the invasion.
Peace talks are expected to resume, though one Russian negotiator acknowledged there's still a long way to go before reaching any deal with Ukraine. Em Nguyen, ABC News, Washington.
Aluminum can giant Ball Corporation is pulling business out of Russia. The Westminster-based company plans to sell its growing manufacturing business there in response to the invasion of Ukraine. The Denver Business Journal reports the company's Russian business division generated 4% of its nearly $14 billion revenue worldwide last year. A Colorado veterinarian has traveled all the way to the Ukrainian border to provide free services for families who have fled with their pets.
Denver 7's Christian Lopez joins us in studio this morning because, Christian, you had a chance to speak to him because he understands how much these pets mean to the families.
He does, and like everyone else, he wanted to do something to help, and he told me that it actually ended up being an experience he'll never forget.
Here's our area where we have a treatment table and our little waiting area.
John Geller is a veterinarian from Fort Collins. His passion for helping animals brought him here to the Ukraine-Romania border.
It was like everybody else, just really wanted to help, and I knew it would take a little bit of a leap out of my comfort zone to do it, since I didn't know what I was getting into.
His nonprofit Street Dog Coalition set up this pop-up vet tent in an area that sees hundreds of families passing through every day.
And they want to leave, they want to bring their pets, but there's a lot of requirements for them to travel through Eastern Europe, with pets.
He's helping them with that. offering pet vaccines, pet passports, and whatever else families need to make sure their furry companions can travel with them safely.
They really are worried about their pets because for some of them, they just would feel lost without them. And so it's really important for them to know their pets are going to be able to travel and are healthy to do so.
Well, especially because pets bring us so much comfort.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. Well, we definitely saw some families today with young kids and the whole family is so bonded their pets.
He showed us around the Asacha border crossing station where he's set up.
You can see their pots. What's for dinner tonight?
Well, we have chicken soup.
Okay.
Lentil soup, as usual.
I love lentil soup.
It has expanded into a safe space where volunteers from all over the world are coming together to help, offering families a hot meal and a place to rest.
They get their paperwork done. They get warmed up. They eat some food. They get on a bus that is taking them mostly to Bucharest, but maybe other places too.
An experience John says has been life-changing.
It's amazing to see how unifying, even though it's a horrible event, how unifying this war has been. And it makes you appreciate just, a more international perspective.
And it was so great talking to him too. He gave me a tour on the Zoom and I could see
cool.
everything set up. This is people from all over the world coming together in this area.
Yeah, a little peace of mind. Just one less thing for them to think about.
I'm so glad they were able to bring their pets and that they're getting that help. Yeah.
More help is on the way for Ukraine. Some seniors in Colorado have found a way to support Ukrainians. Residents of River Point Senior Living in Littleton are sewing what were blue and yellow scraps of fabric and creating quilts with them. It'll likely take 2 months to complete 4 quilts. They'll be auctioned off, and the group is still looking for a place to hold that auction, but the proceeds will go to a nonprofit. And they're also trying to decide which charity to send that money to. If you have an idea for them, you can contact them through information at thedenverchannel.com.
From the grocery aisle to your favorite restaurants, food prices are staying high. We'll look at how much more you'll be spending to eat.
Plus, we're hearing from the Broncos' newest offensive lineman why he thinks it'll be fun to block for Russell Wilson.